All right, so it's been now 10 years since the first Metal Gear Solid came out. The first Metal Gear Solid came out in 1998, and this game came out in 2008. So at the time, we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the... Okay, so this is a PS3 game, and we need to install data on the hard drive for it to run. So let's do that. Ready to install the game, to turn off the PS3 while it does it. And yes, by the way, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 4 on an actual PlayStation 3.
Yes, 2008. And at this point, Metal Gear fans had reason to celebrate because Snake had made it to the Valhalla of video game characters. Smash Brothers.
Basically, elf warning. Ensure that you play in a brightly lit room and sit as far away from the screen as possible. Basically, Shiroi, this is old Snake. Basically, Shiroi, Snake got old. Solid Snake specifically.
Is literally too old for this shit.
So yeah.
Alright.
So basically, Shiroi, now we're back playing as Solid Snake, our OG hero.
Smoking does not help, sir.
Metal Gear Solid.
Look,
as you recall,
Shiroi,
at this point,
Solid has to deal with a lot of shit. He needs this. Go on, Joe.
And as you recall, up to this point, Metal Gear Solid 3 has
avoid playing when you are tired.
As the sacred cow of the franchise. Yes, we can read that.
Yeah, but Shiroi can't, so I have to read that. Please put litter in its place. Use an ashtray for cigarette butts and ashes. Go on.
Are you sure? There might be something else you need to read.
Well, yeah. Be sure to take a 15-minute break every hour.
I'm more curious.
You're not my mom.
I'm more curious. Why did you let the entire installer going on?
Because it's fun. Because I like because it's funny and I like the little. Not to mention, there's a payoff at the end. I don't know if you remember. If you begin to feel ill, stop playing immediately.
Alright, anyway, I might as well get to the explanation. So, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 had established itself as the sacred cow of the franchise. Ergo, it was that one game everyone agreed was pretty much top-notch. It had the best balance overall of story and gameplay, had the most up-to-date gameplay, and as you can imagine, had a pretty good story that was helping getting people reinvested in the franchise after Metal Gear Solid 2 had rocked the boat a bit. However, there were still questions regarding Metal Gear Solid 2, and finally we would get the follow-up. Now, let me put it bluntly. This was going to be a Herculean task.
Hold on, I need to read this. Do not leave the disc in a hot or humid place, such as near a heater or inside a car. It also helps not to smash it with a hammer. So don't do that. Go on, Jova.
Your PS3 is not thirsty. Do not pour water on it.
Yeah, so the dealio was that this was going to be a Herculean task. Not only to finally answer the questions from Metal Gear Solid 2, but to make an official sequel follow-up to Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, look, making a sequel to 2, that was one thing because people were mixed on that. But people flipping loved 3, so, like, this would be like, the challenge of making a sequel to Metal Gear Solid 1, but on steroids, because you had to make a necessary follow-up. So, how best to describe this game? In my honest opinion, I would say that this game is the Dual Destinies of Metal Gear Solid. It is the title that is meant to, story-wise, follow up to the somewhat mixed reception received title, in this case Metal Gear Solid 2 being that case, to try and either win back the crowd, make explanations, or answer questions. And like Dual Destinies, from what I can recall, it was loved upon release, but has gone through some scrutiny, and while it still is overall liked, there are some people who do wonder...
Konami is not responsible for any damage resulting from misuse, so if you destroy your PS3 on your disc... That's... Go on, Joe.
Yeah. So again, like Dual Destinies, this game has come under some scrutiny. There are people who still generally like it. There are some who do question whether the answers were the best that are given, and some people who question if they actually were happy with the retcons, or people who, again, now that Metal Gear Solid 2 had better reception, were wondering if they should have stayed on some of the avenues that Metal Gear Solid 2 said.
Enemy soldiers.
I won't spoil what those details are. You'll be able to see for yourself. Me personally, I do prefer the direction Metal Gear Solid 4 went. That said, there are some things I don't like that it did, story-wise or mechanical-wise. That being said, in and of itself, though, the most frustrating thing about this game is the fact that it hasn't been re-released on anything else. So it's kind of hard for people.
Well, remember that's what Volume 2 is for. So
well, that's for the time being. That's for one particular reason. I don't even know if it was conceptualized as such, but this basically came out as a PlayStation 3 exclusive, as in only on PS3 and nothing else.
Well, remember MGS 1, 2, and 3 also started out as PlayStation exclusives.
That is true.
Even those eventually came to other platforms.
Well, that's not even my point. My point is that being on a system like that and Kojima wanting, as usual, to touch the audience with his fingers, decided to actually have a couple of interactions, mechanics, and lines of dialogue that reflect the system, which at the time, as usual, much like Psycho Mantis reading a memory card, was actually pretty cool, and it still is. You see, Mickey giving a game of personality. This has got also to the problem of actually releasing the thing, because you either have to drastically change the gameplay, and we do know that coding for the PS3 was a fucking nightmare to begin with, or change lines of dialogue, and we do know that...
Hold on, Theo. Cigarette smoke has detrimental effects to you and those around you, particularly infants, children, and the elderly. Have consideration for others when choosing to smoke. Alright, so it's done.
Or just don't smoke. But yeah.
Yes, you did, Snake.
You spent like however fucking long watching this guy smoke.
As kept you waiting, huh? All right. So now that the game is installed, we can properly start it. So Konami and Kojima Productions. Here we go.
Really, you had to install these two logos?
Yes.
You're saying, Tia?
This is not a Gear Zombie Contest game, Waves. I can mention later.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4. Again, I wasn't into the Metal Gear Solid franchise. I was aware of it thanks to Smash Brothers Brawl, though. But that being said, even I was aware of the hype around this title.
Well, allow me then, as someone who fell in love with the series in 1988, this was a game that was incredibly awaited by me and as well as all other Metal Gear fans, because this was the game. This was the game that was the Avengers Endgame of the franchise, the game that was going to finally answer all of our questions and end conclusively the Solid Snake saga.
And believe it or not, Shiroi, this game ties in stuff from every past game aside from Babel.
This is the game that basically tries to wrap up 10 years of lore, and it starts in the title screen where Snake is visiting a graveyard. I wonder what graveyard. I wonder what graveyard it is.
Well, if this game was done by Hideki Kamiya, it would be his. With actually a very somber guitar.
Yeah, this is the old Snake theme, the new main theme composed by Eric Erickson Williams, and I love it. It's actually, in fact, might as well put that out of the way. Metal Gear Solid 4 has my all-time favorite Metal Gear soundtrack.
Brought to you by the composer of Team America War Police.
Yes.
Weird. I'll admit, most Metal Gear Solid fans I ask, their favorite turns out to be either 3 or surprisingly 5.
Well, I love the soundtracks for all games, but this is my favorite because it's first of all, acoustic guitar is the traditional instrument of my country, so obviously I'm going to have some kind of bias towards acoustic guitar being used. And I just love the melancholic tone that really shows that this is a bittersweet game, because this is going to be your last time playing as the legendary Solid Snake.
I'll admit, I'm a bit mixed on that, but I'll explain more about
There is technically another appearance that Snake does canonically, but it's more of a joke and only for Japanese players. Essentially, Metal Gear Rising got a DLC in Japan that is a sword that has lines of dialogue from Snake giving advices to Raiden. But again, it's non-canonical stuff.
Snake,
it's Snake with a gun!
Snake, what are you gonna do with that gun?
You cannot shoot the tomb, Snake.
Well, hold on. Something seems a bit off with his face, and I don't just mean that he's old.
Well, Snake is clearly preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
We're going to talk about exactly what Snake has been up to in between 2 and 4.
Believe it or not, folks, where this main menu opening screen takes place in the story may surprise you.
Considering Kojima's sense of humor, I'm very surprised that they didn't do a non-canonical spin-off, kind of like Yakuza Dead Soul. Recent Snake, what the fuck?
Snake, what are you doing?
Well, I guess for the cameraman it wasn't really important.
Are you gonna get a game over before the game even starts?
You okay, buddy?
You know, honestly, if anyone were to do that, I could totally see Kojima being the guy who does that.
Alright, so... there you go. So... Alright, so you can choose to either install individual chapters of the game or install everything if you have 8 gigabytes of hard drive space, which is not that much in today's day and age, but you have to understand that back in 2008, we didn't exactly have big hard drives in consoles yet. So at the time, this was kind of...
Didn't the PS3 have a particularly shit one for the most part?
Yeah.
At first, yes. Later revisions fixed that, but yeah, the original models didn't.
And this was still in the early...
Alright, so let's actually start a new game proper. I just look at the extras, which the extras involve online stuff that I'm not the servers have since been taken down since then, so they're useless now. Let's just.
I think that there were fan servers made for this game, but
probably, but you're gonna have to mod the game or use RPCS free to use those. So obviously, I don't have access to those.
So yes, as Pedro's showing off, there is a ton of customizability with the controls, and trust me, you'll see why soon. And that's not even counting all the display stuff.
If I remember correctly, unfortunately, this is another case where the subtitles are not really super big.
No, they're not. Well, the subtitles for these games have never been great. I mean, the Blue Point ones for 2 and 3 are okay, but most of the subtitles in this game have never been exactly great.
Mind you, I still need to find a game that has them even smaller than the ones of Remember Me, but you know,
yeah.
never know.
Oh God, well,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Too. Believe it or not, Teo, in the PC version, you can make them bigger, but it's a hidden setting that is not in the menu. You have to change a file in the game the game's files to do it. That's the weird part.
I got a minute. So the menu had an install option. We just spent 20 minutes installing the game. What else is there to install?
Well, it's in case you want to install it again for whatever reason. Anyway, difficulty level: Liquid Easy.
For amazing difficulty names. Also, you went with the Liquid Easy one. Goddamn.
All right, so let's start. So we start with a TV show.
Oceans of gossip.
Okay, so basically, here's what happens: when you first put up Metal Gear Solid 4, you can watch TV channels that basically think of this as Kojima trying to do a Frank Miller thing, where he uses these TV shows to give you a basic idea of what happened to the world ever since the Patriots took over.
Hi, Larry. There you go. I'm sure a couple of these people are known, but they escaped me.
Well, welcome to Hideo Kojima Makes a Full Motion Video Game.
And look at that, an interview with David Hayter, the voice of Snake.
What are you wearing, David?
Hey, that's...
remember, Teo, it's the solid eye from this game.
I know.
God damn it, why is there nothing good
Oh,
on
look, Hideo 1. Okay, there's nothing on it. There's nothing wrong in Hideo 1, and there's nothing on in Hideo 2. Okay.
Kojima, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, great.
No. Believe it or not, Shiroi, this is actual TV channels from the in-game universe. Like, this is the game. This is a way of doing world building of how the world has become ever since the Patriots took over. A lot of
cephalopods.
If I recall correctly, there are later segments in the game where you can actually manually flip through the channels.
Shiroi, you play too much Splatoon.
Yes, I do.
Hey, look, this is a trailer for Death Stranding.
Yeah, kind of.
If you look up different types of squids and octopi and similar species, they look cool, okay?
Look! I'm zapping for the channels. I know.
You have the attention span of a lemming, Pedro.
Okay, remind me. Oh wait.
I never said that, damn it.
Will you ever respect the face in your
Okay, so if I recall
Is there
correctly,
anything good on?
Again, Pedro, remind me. Weren't there parts where you actually can manually flip through these channels
That's what he's
later on in
doing,
the game?
Jova.
It's only doing this bit, Jova. After that, you don't know. Yeah. However, if you go to YouTube, people have recorded the entirety of these videos. You can watch them on YouTube.
I think also what Jova is saying is that
Is this
It's
what you like when
doing
you're watching
the
TV?
cutscenes of the game.
Okay,
if I recall
hold on,
correctly,
Theo.
there
So
are-
eventually, the TV part ends and the game starts proper. Don't worry, we're going to go back and check the rest of that programming because there's a lot of cool stuff in the not too distant future.
Wars become routine.
So now we have some narration from Snake explaining what happened, because this game takes place in 2014, and by that I mean this game's universe 2014, which means it takes place 5 years after the end of Metal Gear Solid 2. So let's see what happened since then, thanks to Snake's narration.
You can just see the fact that this was done around the mid to late 2000s because of all these gray to yellow.
More like brown.
Brown to, yeah.
Brown,
barely
yellow,
read some
the
of it.
shades.
You can tell even from the first trailers that at least this very
Well-
first level.
I will argue it works fine for this level because this level takes place.
I was trying to say, you can tell that probably it was like a Konami thing to say, let's try to make at least some of the promotional material or the first level to appease to the Call of Duty audience.
I do agree with what Dwip said, though. Like, at the very least, give these credits more of a black outline, because
Or a
seriously,
shadow.
some
Yeah.
of these absolutely blend in with that background.
yeah, it's like a-
light on this stuff will never work.
Not
I'm
helped by the
sorry.
font
Hey, look at
choice,
that.
which is stylistic.
And look at that, Phil Lamar is in this game again.
As is Richard Doyle.
Yep.
And earlier we saw Lee Merriweather.
Alright, let's listen.
Has changed.
If I recall correctly, this music track is called The Theme of Love.
Yes.
Ideologies or ethnicity.
What does it say about me that my favorite vocal tune from this one is still Calling to the Night, which is the tune of
Portable Ops, yeah.
There he is.
My favorite will always be Snake Eater.
Well-oiled machine.
Snake Eater's definitely still one of my favorites too.
ID tag soldiers carry ID tagged weapons. Use ID tag gear.
So yeah, like it or not, the Patriots kinda won in the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, and as
Well, yeah.
a result,
It was established by the end of 2 that the actions of Raiden had only a minimal impact and he was literally playing into the Patriots hand. Sure, he was saying that he was gonna forge his future and hopefully
Basically,
save his child, but
basically, Shiroi, think kind of like the plot of Sonic Forces. The villains of the franchise took over the world, and it's up to our heroes to band together and save and take it back, basically.
which brings the big irony. Big Boss got his wish.
Yep.
A world where war
A
is
world-
pretty much a job,
Yes.
and soldiers are constantly given
That's the
a
that's
sense of belonging.
that's the ironic. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, but that's the thing. We're going to address Big Boss eventually. But yeah,
It's the third time you said war is changed in this class.
there is a reason why that line became a meme.
so there we go. Basically, Shiroi, the Patriots, since they're basically an AI at this point, they've basically automated war to a point where now every soldier is ID tagged, every single weapon is ID tagged, everything is controlled by machines.
So hey, you know, war is essentially a business now.
So you're probably wondering, why is...
Jobs from it. So I guess 3 cheers for Big Boss. His dream
Yeah.
has been realized.
That's how ironic. So you're probably wondering, why is Snake here and why? How is Snake here and why? Well, don't worry, we're going to explain. We're going
And
to
also
flash.
because-
We're going to flash back in a moment.
And also because we need a parallel to the War on Terror.
Also, I love the Smash Brothers Ultimate remixes for the tunes from this game.
Yeah, like I said, I love this game's soundtrack. Like it's so
Especially
great.
the one that makes Theme of Love sound like a Pirates of the Caribbean track. It's awesome.
All right, and this is where we start. Okay, so Metal Gear Solid 4's gameplay is an even further refinement of the mechanics that started in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. We still have the same basic idea. We can crawl, we can have items, we can use the guns. Even the camouflage from Snake Eater makes a return. In fact, we have a new way of doing camouflage, but we'll talk about the camouflage later.
The gameplay truly has reached a zenith of sorts. Enjoy the gameplay.
Yeah,
while you
right.
can.
What you have here, Shiroi, is the pinnacle, the final refinement of the classic Metal Gear Solid formula.
Until Metal Gear Solid 5.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. But that's why I said this is the ultimate one, because after this, the Metal Gear series is going to revamp its gameplay. Because when we get to Portable Ops, Peace Walker, and Phantom Pain, those games heavily revamp the gameplay. But anyway, Otacon.
Portable Ops actually came out before 4.
That is true. Yeah.
Best if you practice now before you get back into the thick of things. Listen carefully to my instructions and then give it a try. I've also set your codec so that you can receive short messages in listen-only mode.
To walk, put one foot in front of the other.
Chance of you accidentally giving away your position.
Kane.
So yeah, that's the codec. Don't worry, we're not gonna just see pictures. In fact, this is the best version of the codec because instead of just seeing pictures or just the face of someone, we watch literally live feed from where the characters are. So basically, 2008 Skype/Discord video calls. That's what the codec is now. Alright, and we have the usual tutorial bits. Basically, it tells you press X to crawl. Again, just like it's been... So basically, if you've played the previous Metal Gear games, you should be right at home. It's still the same formula. This is going to be the last game that uses this formula because Peace Walker and Phantom Pain are going to revamp how the gameplay works.
Snake, to crouch, bend your knees. I don't think it meant that in depth on a car.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, while Portable Ops did come out before this game, if I recall correctly, Peace Walker does actually take cues from Portable Ops. So, ironically, what many might consider to be the best gameplay of the series originated from Portable Ops.
Oh, yeah,
a game that, while Kojima doesn't seem to hate, he doesn't always regard it the most highest, especially with how Peace Walker starts.
All right.
It's a good job. It's a good job this game's dialogue is fully voiced because, I like doing the Snake voice every so often, and I'll still do it here, but Old Snake is a lot more harder on your throat, as David Hayter would tell you.
Yeah, you can also do the same. So the CQC from Snake Eater is also back. So basically, every single mechanic from the previous Metal Gear games is here, present, and accounted for.
As for why Snake can suddenly do moves that only his father could do, he played some virtual missions that showed him the missions.
I mean, it worked for Raiden, did it?
Yeah, it worked for Raiden. Not to mention, it's been 5 years since 2, so it is perfectly plausible that Snake has picked up a few things since then. So.
Mm-hmm.
Never
and hey, it's literally in his genes. So
literally, yeah, literally.
And as we discovered by the end of 1, he did inherit the best ones. So.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Shiroi, we have 2 gauges this time. We have the life gauge and the psych gauge. What is the psych gauge, you may ask? Don't worry, we have someone on our codec lineup call that will explain the psych gauge later to us in better detail. We'll talk about that later.
So, Pedro, in typical tradition, will we be getting a comprehensive playthrough here that shows pretty much all meaty content?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Will we be getting a comprehensive playthrough that essentially shows us, all the content?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the single-player campaign of this game is very straightforward. There's not really anything in particular.
Connected to what Joe was saying before, if I remember correctly, at least in some cutscene, there is a button prompt similar to the R1 of 3.
Yeah, sure.
Showcasing you what the Snake is seeing. It's more of a case of it shows like an alternate
sure.
or a flashback.
You mean the flashbacks bits? Well, here's the thing. I mean, it would be very redundant for me to repeat every single cutscene that has those just for some minor little flashes of things. So I'm just gonna stick with just a simple run of each cutscene for those, because it would be very redundant to just watch the same cutscenes entirely repeatedly,
Bit of an interesting thing that Kojima did add, though.
Because one of the primary themes of this game, Shiroi, is the pain of old wounds. Because this, much like all the but this is 10 years later, and this game is made for the OG fans, and you're gonna be made to feel the same pain of old wounds that Snake feels in this game, and you'll see exactly how.
So wait, does that mean I'm going to get shot as well, just like Snake is in this game?
Yes. I didn't.
You want to get into
Kojima wants
character, I
us to
guess.
be very immersive.
Look, Dibs, look this. It's like Nolan wanted to make you feel like you were blown up in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, but but I'm still alive, so I call bullshit on that.
Well, you see,
I
Well, you
didn't die.
see-
I want to rethought.
Twibs, haven't you read the Chronicles of Narnia? Clearly, you've actually just been in the afterlife this whole time after the train crashed.
Another refinement.
A lot of things.
The train crash wasn't your fault.
One particular refinement to the gameplay that I love is the map system. The map system is way better than in Snake Eater. For as much as I like Snake Eater, I have to admit the map system is not great. It's
Hey,
if we get
a
to use the map system, that is.
Okay. This is probably a good time to mention. Yes, you may have noticed we got a tiny bit of gameplay, but then got hit with another cutscene.
exactly. This is
Okay,
this game, Shiroi, is 70% movie, basically.
Let me put it like this. You know how I said with Metal Gear Solid 2 that I feel like the even-numbered Solid games are a showing of what happens when you maybe give Kojima a little too much free reign. Don't get me wrong. You're getting more Kojima, which is mainly a great thing, but that can also come with his trappings too, which can be his love of story. And yes, this game, like Pedro mentioned, is mainly story over gameplay.
Yeah.
You will definitely be sitting with your controller put down for the majority of your playthrough of this game session.
I'm personally not bothered by this because the main reason I bought this game was to experience the grand finale of the Solid Snake Saga. I came here for the story mainly, so I'm personally not bothered by it. But trust me, objectively speaking, it is a problem. Yes.
So,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Metal Gear Gecko.
This is the Metal Gear
Metal
Geckos.
Gears which sound like cows for some reason.
Yes.
Which was replicated even for Smash Brothers. Yes, they still make the cow mooing sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metal Gear Solid 4.
Still better than the zombie Metal Gear.
All right, so let's.
So how do you like that? How do you like that? A Metal Gear right out the box.
Anyway, let me finish explaining. The map system. Unlike the map system in 3, which was not particularly great, it was serviceable, but it could have been much better. The map system in this game is much better. All you have to do is pause the game, and the game will show you exactly where you are and where your destination is, and there's even a little red line, dotted line, that shows you the specific path you need to take from where you are to get to said destination. So as a result, even though the environments can get pretty large and wide, it's still, you will not get lost because the map system does a really good job in explaining. This is the thing with the geckos. Don't try to take down a gecko unless you have some really powerful guns, which you do not have at the beginning again. The best way to handle the geckos is just stealth your way through and make sure they don't see you. So now that
you don't have the rules of nature on your side just yet.
So basically, try your best not to let the gecko see you. In fact, let's showcase. There you go.
The emphasis is on stealth.
I want to showcase.
Snake is really close.
Come on, kill me. I want to show. I want to showcase the death screen. Come on. There you go. Fuck.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have picked easy mode, Pedro.
No, that's not what happened. I think I used a ration. That was my bad.
I mean, even still, you're not gonna die as quickly on easy mode.
That's okay. I just wanted to do this once anyway.
You know, there probably is some mad lad who actually has just done a knife-only run.
Probably. I mean, there's plenty of can you beat insert game here with this condition
There
here?
we go.
We also have a little flashbacks there. And Snake! There you go.
Also, could Kojima make a game over screen without giving people a seizure?
Yeah, that would have been lovely.
There you go.
Again, this is definitely Kojima Unchained, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright.
God, who let him out?
Well, that's the thing. Well, actually, Shiro, that's a good segue. Allow me to explain something about this game. Like I've already explained, MGS3 was directed by Kojima because, well, when he asked for any volunteers to continue the Metal Gear series for him, nobody raised their hands. So yeah. However, Shiroi, in between Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 4, that changed. Shiro Murata, one of his co-writers for Metal Gear Solid 3, actually raised his hand and said, "You know what? If you're not interested in going back to the Solid Snake saga, I'll do it." So basically, originally, Shiroi, when this game was first announced, it was going to be written and directed by Shigeru Murata, with Kojima only producing the game. Because Kojima was much more interested in continuing the new Big Boss saga, rather than going back to Solid Snake.
Also, as Pedro just showed, yes, the gecko can indeed bend down, let out a tiny little thin strand, please refrain from any penis analogies, and literally drop its load in with you.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened then,
Pedro?
Pedro?
Like that.
Cutscene now. I'll explain in a moment.
Take a shot every time there's a cutscene in this game.
Music by Harry Gregson Williams and Nobuko Toda.
Kojima wanted to make a movie so bad.
No, yes.
It's not so much that. Kojima loves video games, and trust me, it's not so much that he goes out of his way to make his games into movies. It's more so that he has a lot of story he wants to tell.
Excuse me, can you patch that up?
I love it. That thing is literally dangling a corpse just to warn him. Alright,
to answer Dwez's question. Here's what happened. When the game was first announced, and that Kojima was only going to be producing, there was an immense fan backlash, because fans demanded that Kojima would write and direct this game like he did the others. To the point, Shiroi, where Kojima Productions even got death threats. Because of that. Old Snake, once again played by David Hayter. So eventually, Shiro, in order to protect his team, Kojima relented and decided to take over the game. I will just say this. Fuck all of you who did that. There you go. And I mean, I can tell you, Shiroi, that I was perfectly fine with Shigeru Murata doing this because he's proven with Snake Eater that he can do this and he knows the ropes. So I would have been perfectly fine with Kojima just supervising it. But,
I'm curious, what was Shu's role in Snake Eater overall?
Co-writer. He helped Fukushima and Kojima write the script.
So, ideally, he would have been the Yamazaki to Kojima's Takumi.
Basically, yeah, that was the idea. But apparently, Jova, the Kojima extremists are even worse than the Takumi extremists. So
it's something that kind of happened, like with the Snyder cut.
Yeah, at worst, the Takumi extremists are just a bunch of snobs.
There you go.
Who turn their nose up at anything different.
There you go. The main functionality of Snake's new suit is complete.
Oh, hold on. I have to read this. No place. Hold on, I love that cardboard box. In a moment, we're going to read it. Let me read it first here. In a moment.
Yep, it's a cigarette.
Yep.
You know, it would be funny if that Metal Gear actually smoked it just to get a read on him.
420 blaze it.
Of course.
No, hold on. No place for Hideo. No place for Hideo. Get it? No place to hide. Oh crap! Oh.
They killed Hideo.
Watermelons.
Worst twibs. They killed the cardboard box and they pissed on the watermelons.
You bastard.
What's with Metal Gear and watermelons?
What's with Metal Gears and pissing in this game?
Someone is hungry, I guess.
Alright. Basically, Shiroi, you'll notice that that Snake's new outfit reacts to whatever he touches. That's the
Snake, that's been on the ground.
That's the Octocamo suit developed by Otacon, Shiroi. Basically, remember how in Snake Eater we had to consistently change our clothes to better match the environment for camouflage purposes? Mm-hmm. In this game, we don't, Shiroi, because our clothes will naturally change color to match the environment we're in. Metal Gear Solid 4. Guns of the Patriots.
Oh yeah.
So basically, now you don't. One of the primary complaints of Snake Eater is that you always have to. There's a lot of menu management where you have to constantly go to the menu to switch clothes. So the answer to that was, okay, here we have a special outfit that changes automatically, depending on where you are.
Guess he won't be needing that.
to let the world die.
It's more of a constant thing. Throughout this entire prologue, Snake has been searching for a weapon that works, but as he mentioned in the prologue, because of ID, identification and everything, it's a bit rougher bet, it seems.
Yep.
Oh, for a second there, I thought
Directed and produced by Hideo Kojima.
Kojima was under the gun the whole time.
How did you hide under there?
I thought it was going to be like in Judge Dredd, where if you fire a gun, you're not supposed to have.
Well, Shiroi, the cardboard box was apparently no place for Hideo, so he had to hide somewhere else.
And then, yes, the suit is, allows to still, be adherent to Snake's altered ass.
So yeah,
I love that title. Kojima Productions presents Konami.
So
No. Kojima Productions presents Snake's ass.
yes. So all of you out there who love looking at Snake's ass in the previous games, don't worry. There's still, and trust me, by far, this is the game that has the most Snake ass you'll see. So if you're into Solid Snake for whatever reason you are, that's fine, because Kojima's got you covered. There's plenty of good old Snake ass in this game.
I can't help but find it ironic how back in Metal Gear Solid 2, apparently a lot of the Japanese fan base said that they didn't want to play as an old man or anything, and yet here we are now with old man Snake ass.
At this point,
this is the sequel to Sonic's ass game.
This game at this point, Jova, the Western audiences were the primary target audience because they were the ones that were buying the games the most.
It doesn't surprise me. We've seen that with a lot of Japanese series where, despite how much the Japanese side may talk up, it's actually the Western side that ends up supplying the majority of sales.
Exactly. Well, the West in its entirety is far bigger than just Japan, so simple mathematics will automatically make that. Anyway, everybody,
not helped by how Japan kind of at some point had a bit of a loss of interest in consoles.
Yeah, it was around it was around this time that the home console market in Japan started seriously declining. So at this point, it was the Western sales that were going to be the best way to sell this game. Anyway, tune in next time, everybody, where we go dial it back to see the mission briefing and what exactly led Snake to this point. And we're also going to check out all those TV channels in those videos in their entirety because I want to see that David Hayter interview. Sounds fun. So
yes.
See you then.
Yeah.
Ta-ta.